start with a tour of what this is the dungeon. This is I probably have the most weightlifting memorabilia of anybody outside of the Hall of Fame in York, Pennsylvania. And in this room, I've got only about half of it because some of the stuff is too valuable to put Brit out. But anyway, so I like to take pictures of everybody because here's a picture that was taken of me in one of my first contests back in 1967. And it kind of maybe it inspired me to lift, but also it's a good record. I have at one time I used to lift okay. I was a pretty good lifter, but not good enough, so I became a coach. But then these are just pictures of people who've trained with me over the years, various teams I've had that won national championships, Olympic teams, Pan American game teams, and the posters. Like over here, I got VHS. I'm a little backward a little bit here, but I'm still on VHS. I have a good camera, but then I converted to VHS from this machine over here, and I just let that run. And over here we have a personal record board. When you start competing, we keep track of your personal records and the calendar, so we can keep track of the events, and I can lay out the schedule for the whole year. And again, more pictures of teams. I had 2 women on the very first women's world championship team, and that's them over here. Mario Martinez, one of the greatest U.S. lifters. So these are pictures of athletes that have trained with me. Some, well, here's another guy, Mark Cameron, who trained with me. I didn't really coach him as such, but he trained with me. And just pictures of all the different people, the women weightlifters. The women's weightlifting just started in about 1980, and so I had some of the very first women national champions, very first women world team members, and so forth. This is my Russian barbell set here. I bought this. I bought it in 1974. It was used, and we used it for a while, and it kind of doesn't revolve very good, but it was a beautiful barbell when it was brand new, and it's kind of seen its better days, but it's a nice souvenir. This is a poster from the '84 Olympic Games. I had a friend, he climbed up on a post and unscrewed it and took it down and gave it to me. Anyway, could have got arrested, but he didn't. And I got posters from all the various Olympics and World Championships that I've been to.
Last time? Yeah. Monday? Yeah. Introduce myself.
Here's a banner that someone made for me many years ago, and the banner is now, I'm not supposed to use the Olympic rings, you see, so I figure if I have it down here in the dungeons out of the way, I'm not making any money off it, but whenever you use the Olympic, in order to use the Olympic rings, you have to pay the United States Olympic Committee a fee. It's a copyrighted logo, and I had this sign made before I think they copyrighted it. They started coming down on the use of the rings when we were having the Olympics in 1984, and I had this thing made up sometime in the 70s. And then again, here's all my lifters, champion lifters, posters from World Championships. This is the very first Junior World Championships in 1975. I had a lifter on that team, Ken Clark. Very first Women's World Championships, 1987. I had 2 women on that team, Giselle Shepperton and Rachel Silverman. And then just on and on, here's pictures. I hosted the National Championships in 1981 at the Palace of Fine Arts in San Francisco. It was quite a good show. Butch, you got second or third there, right, Butch? Third. Fourth. Oh, Butch got fourth. Anyway, then Ken Clark, he won his first meet.
I tore my knee.
Yeah, that's right. Butch got injured.
You got third snatch, third clean, and fourth overall.
Yeah. Okay, so it'll come around here. And I've got this is again me when I was 21 years old, 42 years old, 63 years old, and I still lift, but I don't think it's worth putting a picture up anymore. But
I'm back.
You're back.
What are we looking at now?
Just to give it a little tour.
Hey, look at you!
Yes, 21, 42, 63.
There we go.
And this summer I turned 70, and I'm going to lift, but it's I'm not sure when yet.
Okay.
Because I've lifted every year since 1966, at least once.
At least once?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
You lifted at the Warriorz Open one year?
Yeah. I'll lift. It's, if I don't have too many lifters lifting, then I can lift. Because when you're coaching, then you can't lift so good because you're too busy coaching your lifters.
Yeah. Cool. Let's check some stuff out.
Yeah. So then just around here, these are magazine covers of the lifters from Lake Lifters that made the magazine cover. Mario Martinez, Ken Clark, and Dave Langen, Dan Cantori, Bruce Wilhelm, Ken Patera, Tom Hertz. These are some sequence shots to show people that I can come up and I say, this is what I want you to do. I want you to get into this position, or get into this position. So it's, I always like to have pictures to show people. These are two Olympic opening ceremonies that I marched in 1988 and 1992, and so they were it's pretty incredible to be in the opening ceremonies in the Olympics, and it's also, of course, incredible to have lifters lift. And so these are various Olympic teams that I've been affiliated with. I was a coach of 3, but I've coached athletes to other Olympic teams. Dan Cantori and Bruce Wilhelm. I know, Ken Patera in 1972 and Dan Cantori and Bruce Wilhelm in 1976. And 1980, Butch Curry and Tom Stock, who I coached. 1984, it was, what did 84? 1984, yeah. Well, 1984 it was Mario Martinez and Ken Clark. And when you go to the Olympics now, you get to meet the president. So these guys, they all got to meet various presidents. Going to the White House is quite an honor and quite an interesting experience. It's very impressive.
How many times have you been there?
Three times. 3 times? Yeah. And so I've met all the presidents. I didn't get a picture with Ronald Reagan like Mario did, but got a picture with George Bush and Jimmy Carter. We used to lift steel weights up until the 60s, middle 60s. Eleiko was the first one that came out with those round rubber weights, and then everybody started going rubber weights. And this was a Cyclops barbell from Poland, 1974, and this was their attempt at rubber weights. But they use steel covered with rubber, and it's just not doesn't absorb enough. Like now the plates that we have now, they're more resilient and they absorb, because they're real solid. They do a lot of damage when you drop them. They don't bounce.
Has Butch lifted on that bar before?
Oh yeah. These bars. This bar was the one we used for squats. It was our squat rack bar. Squat and jerks. And we've always used the Eleiko barbell for our lifting off the floor. I call the Eleiko barbell as the Bentley of barbells.
There we go.
It's the best. This is, a weightlifting area. It's not the prettiest area, but it's
this is all I've ever wanted.
Yeah. It's totally functional.
Yeah.
And this is not dirt or dust. It's used chalk.
There we go. Now, what is this area here? Is this all?
Well, I've got videotapes of every world championship since 1986, every national championship since about then, and I've got many others that I've gotten from other people.
It's like 28 years of footage.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So sometimes I'll just put a tape in, and while we're working out, we'll have them.
Plus the local meets and all.
Yeah, I do all the local meets, and so when you come back after the competition, they get to watch what they did. And I was just telling them, one of the reasons why I've always taken pictures at these events is because I have a picture when I very first lifted, and if somebody hadn't taken a picture, I didn't, those days I wasn't thinking about taking pictures of anything.
Yeah.
And now I appreciate it more that I can tell people, see, I used to lift some big weights once in a while.
Like my little guy, like Nolan, little tank that lifts, he's going to have all those pictures you have.
Yeah. So someday they're meaningful down the road, and also when I first got my picture of my snatch over there, it's 113 kilos.
Yeah.
I go, wow, I have a pretty good position. I didn't know I had good position. There was no video, there was no pictures, and that was the first picture. The first time I thought, well, that's not bad.
There you go.
Yeah, I had a good, okay position, and look right out of the magazines. So I do that because I want people to kind of see how they look, have a good memento, and maybe it'll inspire them to want to pursue it and get better and better.
Yeah.
And so my dad made a lot of this equipment. My dad made these squat racks. So these are,
your dad made these?
Yeah, he was a machinist, so he had to make a power rack. And he made a lot of my equipment in the old days. And
go 3 for 3 times.
We'll do 3 sets of 3 here. They made these racks, these weight racks.
Nice. So how does this work to raise and lower?
Well, at the time, they made these back about 1968 or something like that.
Okay.
And so you just, you crank this around to raise it up and down.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, two little things that stuck in each end.
Yeah.
And just spin it.
Yeah, so you can get the exact height you want.
Perfect.
And there's an interesting story about this rack. Dan Cantori was a two-time Olympian and 65-time U.S. champion when the 67.5 kilo class. One day, with that Polish set over there, he was doing front squats, 170 kilos. He bounced off and came down and cut his finger off.
He lost his finger?
Right. Well, just before it might still be down there. We don't know.
That's not what that spell is.
They cut his finger off. So, we had to rush him to the hospital and they grafted skin, and he had the national championships in 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And we didn't tell anybody, see, because we don't want people to know that he wasn't up to 100%.
Yeah.
So he goes in there, so the guy who he's always competing against doesn't know that he's not 100%, so he didn't know what so we psyched him out where he took more weight than he could lift. And then Danny just let him go. The guy bombed out. He didn't bomb out, but he didn't make it. He thought, for example, 150 kilos or 155 was all Danny could do that day, and but he had done 160. And so this guy thought, well, shit, I better go for 165 because Danny's going to do it, but he didn't know that Danny couldn't do that.
You played the mind game.
Yeah. Oh, you know, he didn't play the don't say nothing game.
There you go.
Yeah, don't tell anybody about your injury.
Yeah.
And then you can just. So he didn't. Jim Benjamin didn't know that Danny wasn't able to do his absolute best.
There you go.
Jim's been sneaky forever. I mean, in '79 when I won, I was surprised. And I was telling my dad, calling back east and telling him what my training lists were and all that stuff. In '80, going into the trials, Jim says, okay, tell your dad what you did, but tell him to tell people this. So,
Nice.
They didn't need to know. I can't believe people like post all their best lists on YouTube and stuff going into a national meet and stuff.
Yeah.
On Facebook, like, why do you want people to know that stuff?
I know. I was saying, YouTube champs, competition chumps.
Yeah.
Because so many people don't do it on YouTube, but in competition.
Yeah.
So the platform here, this was a warm-up platform of the 1984 Olympics.
That was a warm-up group platform?
Yeah, I reassembled it. This lumber came from the 84 Olympics.
Wow.
The York barbell sets came from the 84 Olympics. After the Olympics...
That's it right there.
Yeah.
This set.
And that bar.
Wow.
Because after the games, and then we did it again in '96, barbell manufacturer, they pay the Olympics that they want for the right to use their weights.
Yeah.
And I mean, they pay. They're getting paid. They pay the LA Olympic Committee. They'll pay $200,000 if you use our weights.
Yeah.
And then the weights become the property of the organizing committee, and then they give them out to the local clubs, and so all those weights get spread around the country. Just in 1984 at this Olympics, and again in 1996 at the Atlanta Olympics, the barbell sets get spread out to the prominent clubs.
Yeah. Wow.
So I've got official. I mean, I have the exact set that was done the competition set, but now it's all been intermixed. So
Scattered around.
Yeah. This rack, this was a standard rack back in the 60s. York Barbell developed this rack around 1962 for isometrics. That's another story about the isometric story. But anyway, it was for isometrics, for squats, for jerk supports, and so I just took a picture of it. I didn't take a picture of it. I copied it out of a magazine, and my dad was a machinist, and so he made this rack. And it's a fantastic. It's really solid, but it has to be anchored to the floor and to the wall. But well, you can do everything on this rack, and it's handled thousands of pounds for doing overhead supports, jerks, squats. You can do, pulls from the inside here. All kinds of things. It doesn't take up much space. Well, I'm going to let Butch give you his tour of his. Oh, because here's there's a great picture of Butch right here. Oh, and I got some before and after pictures. There's Mario Martinez in his very first contest snatching 107.5, that's 237 pounds. And there he is at the 1988 Olympic trials snatching 188.5 for American record.
Wow.
And then here's Ken Clark in his first contest, clean and jerking 100 kilos. And there is 1983 clean and jerking about 470 pounds for American record. I mean, that was about 211 kilos, I think. And,
wow.
Then there's Butch Curry.
This is all Butch stuff. Butch.
No.
Yeah, you tell her what's going on.
Butch, you take him on a tour.
The big one in the corner there is 1981 Nationals, which I had in San Francisco. That was my opening attempt, and unfortunately, that's all I made that day. My knee was getting bad, and I was going to take some time off afterwards, but it didn't last the second attempt, unfortunately. So I wound up in fourth.
So here, this one right here.
Yeah. So that was 408 and 407. This is one of my favorite pictures of me. Or that I'm in, I should say.
Yeah.
That's me. This is 1974. This is my brother Artie Drexler became chairman and stuff, and my brother Nick and a guy named Serge Redding, the first guy to snatch 400 pounds in the world. So he was training in Montclair, New Jersey. So we got a phone call. Hey, Serge is here. Come on over. So we drove over, watched him work out, and just asked him stuff.
We go 65 or 70.
65.
Anyway,
Awesome.
and then one up top here above the rack, I don't even get that.
Right here.
It's me and my dad. That's in '79. I won the senior nationals, and he won the national masters, so we both national champions at that time.
You and your dad?
Yeah.
At the same time?
Well, he was master champion.
Yeah.
And and I was the senior national champion.
Is that you here as well?
And that's me there. That's the. That was the seniors in '79. That was my opening attempt, and that's the only meet I ever went with 6 for 6. So picked the right day to do it. And like I said, that last one was dedicated to Dave Shippen and stuff.
That's awesome.
I mean, it's
a gym.
It's a gym. Sometimes you just look around and it's really cool. When I first came out to the Sports Palace, I mean, if you see some of the pictures Jim shows, his walls didn't have so much posters on it. As the years went on and on, we knew the posters were holding up the walls, not the other way around.
Yeah. Do you say being a part of the Sports Palace and training and being here with Jim, we talked about some memorable moments and stuff, but you know, we asked you what...
a couple of things. Like when I got out here and I started training with Ken Clark and Tom Hertz, I had the third highest snatch of the three of us. Tom was an 82.5, I was a 90, Ken was 100. And in January of '81, before I went to New Zealand, my final heavy workout, I snatched 157 and a half in training, and Ken hadn't done it, and Tom had just got his American record out later that weekend, so it's like I went from behind them to ahead of him, so that was cool. You know, atmosphere is real important. We had workouts with Jim. We had workouts with Jim where sometimes the three of us would just put 5, 7.5 kilos on our best in the same day, just boom, boom, boom. So atmosphere is huge. And there was one time I did a snatch, and Jim's sitting there, and after I stood up with it, after I put it down, Jim goes, "That was a perfect lift," and everybody just shut up and looked at Jim like, "What?" Because he never called anything perfect. So that's a proud moment.
There you go. So you have one.
That was a perfect one. So
let's put a 1 1/4 on.
That's a good one. Do you have to remember what the weight was on the bar when you did it?
Nah.
No. You just knew that it was perfect.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah.
It was pretty heavyweight.
Yeah, well, no, it wasn't light. He wouldn't say it was lightweight. Jim,
Yeah.
Jim, and I copy Jim in this. I hate coaches that try to stand out there and tell you everything they know. You get somebody on the platform and they yell out 6, 7 different commands. It's like, okay, so you know different words, big deal. Mm-hmm. Jim's the kind of coach, and I kind of follow that. I don't say much because it makes it more meaningful when you do say something.
Yeah.
If everything's going good, you just quick reminders. Okay, keep it close. Tighter at the top, whatever. Smaller commands. I'm not going to be one of these guys. That's what Kid Patrick I just was coaching. He came from New York where Artie was his coach, and Artie will give you a dissertation on every lift. So he's like, "Tell me more." I go, "Only if you need it." But, yeah.
So more of a concise, direct way to fix a lot of things is by being a little more soft-spoken and addressing the big issue instead of saying, "Oh, this." Just let the athlete lift and figure it out.
Well, it's like at the courses, people say, "Hey, what would you do to fix the lift?" I go, "Well, I don't usually like to comment on one lift. I like to see 4 or 5, and don't really have time for this. But from what I just saw there, I'd say this is the thing you need to fix first. And sometimes just bring the bar closer, starting with the bar closer, or tighter back, or whatever it is. You find out one issue that straightens up 3 or 4 things instead of going through the whole, linear. I tell people, of course, I can describe the snatch unit sound like there's 20 different things you got to think about. But there's really only two, you know. Pull hard, move fast, which one of Jim's sayings, which is so.
That's true. It's a commitment. Yeah. It's a commitment, and lifting's reactionary. You should not have to think about it. You're just doing it.
Yeah. Well, at the 2000, what was that? 2012? No, the Winter Olympics in Salt Lake. What was that? 2002.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right before the skating was going to go on, Scott Hamilton, the color commentator there, was watching the workout, and the guy said, "So, what's going on right now?" Scott said, and this is a statement I like to use. He said, "Look, they've done these routines 1,000 times. They just need to leave the music play and skate stupid." And that's I say that when you're lifting things. Quit thinking. Just get out and you know what you do.
Do your thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like negative coaching cues. I like better just to say, okay, do it right. You know how to do it right. Do it the right way. Whatever it is. Simple stuff like that.
Yeah. What would as we're kind of talking about these things, what everyone's gonna want to know. So what's your all-time best snatch, clean and jerk, and squat?
Officially, I did 150 and 190 as a 90 kilo lift. In training, I did 57.5, and at the 1980 trials, I cleaned 192.5 with an elbow touch. They told me to put it down and jerked it anyway.
Okay.
So that was that. Squat, I do doubles. I never really did heavy single.
Yeah. So what's your best double?
My best double is 262.5. My best single is 250. That's the most I ever made when I'm making the second rep. So.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just weird that way, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like really got greedy because I did the 62 and I wanted to go, which is what, 580.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do the 600, and we're going to load it. Because we didn't load it right, they reloaded it. And of course, because Artie had done 272.5 is 603/4 pounds, something like that.
Yeah.
So because Artie had done 600, we had to go to that 275. So we loaded that. And when weight's that heavy, the bar works with or against you.
Yeah.
The second rep on the 62 was almost easier than the first one because you kind of had to whip with the bar.
Yeah.
With the 72, as I went down, as I started up, the thing whipped that on me.
Went back down.
Boom! It was here like that was it. Couldn't move it. I was like, woo! So. It's the only time I ever tried that much, though.
That's cool. People are going to look forward to the first installment of the Butch Curry Classic. June 6th. We're going to have some fun.
Yeah, I hope so. Neat shirts, too.
Oh, yeah. I think they're pretty cool. Yeah, the people competing are going to like them.
Awesome.
Well, appreciate your time, Butch. Thank you very much.
Appreciate the meat, guy. And
yeah.
This is, like I said earlier, you're not supposed to wait in the meat after somebody until they die. So.
Yeah.
Crossing my fingers that it lasts another 2 weeks.
All right.
Or is it 2.5 weeks?
Yeah, 2.5 weeks. We got to meet. All right. Thanks, Butch.
No problem, mate.
Cool.